If you're watching this right now, it wasn't an accident. Not luck, not the algorithm. Something deeper pulled you here at this exact moment. And what you're about to hear might change the way you see the next few weeks of your life. There's a date coming, January 5th, a rare alignment, a gateway that only opens once in a great while. And according to ancient wisdom passed down through generations, 6 specific numbers will carry unusual weight during this time. Not magic, not superstition, something quieter, something that moves beneath the surface of what we call coincidence. You probably felt it already. That subtle shift, the sense that something is building, even if you can't name it. Maybe you've been seeing the same numbers over and over, on your phone, on receipts, in dreams, places you wouldn't expect. Most people dismiss it, but some pause. They listen, and that pause changes everything. This isn't about chasing miracles or forcing outcomes. It's about alignment, about recognizing when the current is moving in your direction and choosing not to fight it. The universe doesn't shout. It whispers, and only those who've learned to be still can hear it. Before we go further, take a breath, let your shoulders drop, let the noise fade, because what follows isn't just information. It's a map, and maps are useless if you're too distracted to read them. Let's begin with the first number, 13. Most people fear it. Entire buildings skip the 13th floor. Entire cultures built superstitions around it. But fear often masks something deeper, something we're not ready to understand. The number 13 doesn't appear for everyone. It shows up for those in transition, those standing at the edge of one chapter, about to step into another. If you've been seeing 13 repeatedly, it's not a warning. It's a signal. Your inner world is shifting. The life you've been living, the patterns you've been following, they're starting to crack. Not because they're wrong, but because you've outgrown them. And that terrifies us. Growth always does. 13 is the number of transformation that begins in silence, long before anyone else notices, long before your circumstances change. It starts inside, a restlessness, a questioning, a quiet voice that says, there's more than this. In the teachings attributed to Baba Vanga, a mystic whose insights have echoed across decades, 13 represents the death of the old self. Not literal death. The kind that happens while you're still breathing. The kind where you wake up one morning and realize you can't pretend anymore. You can't keep playing the role. You can't keep living for someone else's approval. And here's what matters. If 13 keeps appearing in your life as we approach January 5th, you're already in motion. The transformation isn't coming. It's happening right now, under the surface, in the decisions you're reconsidering, in the dreams you're starting to take seriously, in the courage that's building, even when you feel afraid. Don't ignore it. Don't rush it. Just acknowledge it. Because the universe only sends these signs to those it knows are ready. Even if you don't feel ready, even if you're terrified, you wouldn't be seeing this number if some part of you wasn't already preparing to leap. Now we come to 7. 7 doesn't knock loudly. It doesn't demand attention. It appears when you finally stop running. When the noise dies down and you're left alone with yourself. That's when 7 shows up, quietly, patiently, waiting for you to notice. We live in a world obsessed with speed, instant gratification, immediate results. We've been conditioned to believe that if something doesn't happen fast, it's not worth pursuing. But 7 teaches the opposite. It teaches that real transformation takes time. That depth requires stillness. That wisdom can't be rushed. 7 is a number of introspection, of going inward when the world keeps pulling you outward. It represents the pause between breaths, the moment before you speak, the space where clarity lives. If you've been seeing 7, especially as January 5th approaches, the universe is asking you to slow down, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're about to receive something important. And you can't receive it while you're moving at full speed. You can't hear guidance when you're drowning in distraction. In the wisdom attributed to Baba Vanga, 7 is sacred. It's the number of the seeker, the one who asks the hard questions. Who am I beneath all these roles? What do I actually want, not what I've been told to want? What does my soul need, not just my ego? These aren't easy questions. They require courage, because the answers might disrupt everything you've built. They might reveal that you've been living someone else's life, chasing someone else's dream. And that realization can be devastating, but it can also be liberating. 7 doesn't promise comfort. It promises truth, and truth is the foundation of everything real, everything lasting, everything worth having. As January 5th draws near, if 7 keeps appearing, don't brush it aside. Set aside time, real time, not 5 minutes before bed, not while scrolling through your phone, time where you're truly alone with yourself. Ask the questions you've been avoiding. Listen to the answers that rise up from somewhere deeper than thought. That's where the next phase of your life is waiting. Not out there in the world, but in here, in the quiet, in the truth you've been too afraid to face. The third number is 5. 5 is a number of change, but not the kind of change that destroys, the kind that liberates. It appears when you've been holding on too tight, when you've been trying to control outcomes, when you've been clinging to what's familiar because the unknown feels too vast, too uncertain. 5 says, let go, not of everything, just of what's weighing you down. The relationships that drain you, the beliefs that limit you, the version of yourself you've been performing for others. 5 creates space, and in that space, something new could emerge. Most people resist 5. We like stability, security, knowing what comes next. But 5 reminds us that nothing is permanent. Everything moves, everything evolves. And when we resist that natural flow, we suffer, we stagnate, we become ghosts of who we could be. If 5 has been showing up in your life, change is already in motion. You might feel it as restlessness, as dissatisfaction, as a nagging sense that something needs to shift. Don't fight that feeling. It's not a problem to solve. It's a message to receive. According to the teachings passed down through mystical traditions, 5 represents freedom. But freedom requires release. You can't step into a new life while clutching the old one. You can't move forward while looking back. At some point, you have to choose. And here's what's crucial. As we approach January 5th, the energy of 5 intensifies. This is a time when the universe supports release, when letting go becomes easier, when the things you've been holding on to start to loosen naturally. Don't miss this window. Don't convince yourself that now isn't the right time. It is. That's why you're here. The change 5 brings isn't random. It's precise. It removes what no longer serves your highest path. It clears the obstacles you couldn't move yourself. Trust it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you can't see what's coming next. The universe doesn't take anything away without preparing something better. Now we arrive at 36. This number carries a different weight. It's not about inner transformation or release. It's about purpose, about the path itself, about discovering what you're actually here to do. 36 is the number of alignment, when your inner truth matches your outer life, when what you do reflects who you are. Most people never experience this. They spend decades in careers that don't fulfill them, relationships that don't nourish them, lives that look successful on the outside but feel hollow within. If 36 keeps appearing, especially now, it's a call to authenticity, to stop performing, to stop pretending, to stop living for applause or approval or security at the cost of your soul. In numerology, 3 represents expression, the voice, the unique way you see and interpret the world. 6 represents responsibility, service, the way you contribute to something larger than yourself. Together, they form 36, the harmony between self-expression and meaningful contribution. This is rare. Most people swing between extremes. Either they express themselves without consideration for others, becoming self-absorbed, or they serve others while silencing their own voice, becoming resentful. 36 is the balance, the integration, the ability to be fully yourself while also being of service. As January 5th approaches, if you're seeing 36, ask yourself this: am I living my truth or someone else's version of it? Am I following my own path or walking the one laid out for me? These questions aren't comfortable, but they're necessary. The wisdom attributed to Baba Vanga suggests that many people live their entire lives without ever asking these questions. They reach the end and realize they spent decades fulfilling expectations instead of exploring possibilities. That's the real tragedy. Not failure, not loss, but never trying, never risking, never daring to live as your actual self. 36 says there's still time, but only if you're willing to be honest, only if you're willing to disappoint people, only if you're willing to face the fear that says, what if I'm not enough? What if my truth isn't valuable? What if I step into authenticity and fail? Those fears are real, but they're not prophecies. They're just the voice of the old self trying to protect you from change, trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you small. On January 5th, the energy of 36 becomes more potent. Decisions made during this time carry more weight. Clarity comes more easily. The path forward reveals itself, not through signs in the sky, but through inner knowing, through the feeling that settles in your chest when you're moving in the right direction. Don't waste this window. Don't convince yourself you need more time to think. You've been thinking your whole life. Now it's time to move. The fifth number is 108. In many traditions, this number holds profound significance. Buddhist prayer beads contain 108 beads. Sacred texts reference it repeatedly. Why? Because 108 represents the bridge between chaos and creation, between mental noise and focused intention. If you've been feeling scattered lately, overwhelmed by thoughts, pulled in too many directions at once, 108 is the answer, not in some mystical sense, in a practical one. 1 represents unity, focus, the single point where all your energy converges. 0 represents potential, the vast field of possibility. 8 represents flow, the natural movement of energy when it's not blocked or forced. Together, 108 teaches you how to take the chaos in your mind and channel it into something real, something tangible, something that changes your life. Most people never do this. They have dreams, ideas, visions of what could be, but those visions stay locked in their heads. They think about them, they talk about them, but they never act. And eventually, those dreams fade. They become memories of what might have been. 108 says, stop thinking, start building. Take the scattered thoughts, the endless possibilities, and focus them into one clear intention. Then move toward it, not someday, now. As January 5th approaches, this becomes critical, because this is a moment when thought can become formed more easily than usual, when the gap between intention and manifestation narrows, when the universe is listening more closely to what you're focusing on. In the teachings attributed to Baba Vanga, there are windows in time, moments when the veil thins, when what usually requires immense effort becomes surprisingly simple. January 5th is one of those windows, and 108 is the key that unlocks it. But here's what you need to understand. Intention alone isn't enough. Wishful thinking isn't enough. You have to pair clarity with action. You have to take the scattered energy, focus it, and then move, even if the step is small, even if you can't see the whole path. Movement creates momentum, and momentum creates results. If you've been seeing 108, it's time to choose. What's the one thing you've been avoiding? The one conversation you need to have? The one project you need to start? The one decision you've been postponing? Choose it. Focus on it. And on January 5th, or in the days immediately following, take the first step. Not a perfect step, not a guaranteed step, just a real one. Finally, we come to 8, the number of infinity, of endless cycles, of balance between giving and receiving, between effort and ease, between holding on and letting go. 8 is unique among numbers. Turn it on its side, and it becomes a symbol for infinity, a reminder that nothing truly ends. Everything transforms. Energy doesn't disappear. It just changes form. If you've been seeing 8, especially now, the universe is inviting you into a deeper understanding of how life actually works, not through force, not through hustle, not through grinding yourself into exhaustion, but through alignment, through rhythm, through knowing when to push and when to rest. Most people misunderstand abundance. They think it's about accumulation, about getting more money, more success, more recognition. But that's not abundance. That's hoarding. And hoarding comes from fear, from the belief that there's not enough, that you're not enough. 8 teaches the opposite. It teaches that abundance is a flow. What you give comes back. What you release makes room for something new. What you share multiplies. This isn't naive optimism. It's how energy works. In the wisdom attributed to Baba Vanga, 8 represents the cosmic law of circulation. Nothing remains static. Everything moves. And when you try to stop that movement, when you try to control it, you create blockages, stagnation, suffering. But when you trust the flow, when you give freely and receive graciously, when you understand that life is not a competition, but a dance, everything changes. Opportunities appear. Resources arrive. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. As January 5th approaches, the energy of 8 becomes especially powerful. This is a time to examine your relationship with abundance, not just financial abundance, though that's part of it. Abundance of time, of energy, of love, of possibility. Are you hoarding? Are you holding back? Are you afraid to give because you don't trust what will come back? Or are you flowing? Are you sharing your gifts? Are you trusting that the universe will meet you where you are? 8 says, let it flow. Give what you have. Share what you know. Help who you can. Not as a transaction. Not expecting something in return. But because that's how the system works. That's how energy moves. That's how abundance grows. And here's what most people miss. 8 isn't just about material prosperity. It's about balance. About living a life where all parts of you are nourished. Where you're not sacrificing your health for your career. Where you're not abandoning your relationships for your goals. Where you're not ignoring your soul for your schedule. True abundance is wholeness. And wholeness requires attention. It requires you to look at all the areas of your life and ask, where am I out of balance? Where am I giving too much? Where am I not giving enough? On January 5th, these questions become more important than ever because this is a moment when course corrections are easier, when small adjustments create large shifts, when choosing differently becomes less daunting. If 8 has been appearing in your life, don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it as coincidence. Listen, reflect, adjust, and trust that the universe is not sending you these signs to confuse you, but to guide you. So here we are, 6 numbers, 13, 7, 5, 36, 108. 8, each carrying its own frequency, its own message, its own invitation. You might see all of them. You might see only one. What matters isn't the quantity. It's your willingness to pay attention, to listen, to trust that something deeper is at work beneath the surface of your daily life. January 5th is not magical. It's not going to solve all your problems. It's not going to deliver a perfect life wrapped in a bow, but it is a moment, a threshold, a window where the energy shifts and what usually feels impossible starts to feel within reach. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you dismiss this as another interesting video, another passing idea, another thing you watched and forgot? Or will you pause? Will you reflect? Will you take one real step toward the life you know you're meant to live? Because here's the truth. The universe sends signs to everyone, but only some people see them. Only some people act on them. Only some people have the courage to step into the unknown and trust that they'll be caught. Which kind of person are you? Not who you've been, not who you were yesterday, but who you're choosing to be right now, in this moment, as you listen to these words. The numbers are guides. The date is a doorway, but the transformation, that's yours. It always has been. The universe can open paths, but you have to walk them. It can offer opportunities, but you have to take them. It can whisper truth, but you have to listen. As we move toward January 5th, as these energies intensify, as these numbers appear more frequently, remember this. You're not being tested. You're being invited. Invited to trust yourself, to honor your journey, to step into the version of yourself that's been waiting patiently in the wings. The one who isn't afraid to grow. The one who isn't bound by other people's expectations. The one who knows deep down that this life is too short and too precious to waste on pretending. So as this message comes to a close, sit with what you've heard, not with urgency, not with pressure, but with openness. Let it settle. Let it work on you in the quiet moments, in the spaces between thoughts. And if you feel something stirring, if you feel that pull toward change, toward growth, toward a life you've been dreaming about but afraid to claim, don't ignore it. That's not anxiety. That's not fear. That's your soul recognizing itself. January 5th is coming. The numbers are speaking. The question now is simple. Are you listening?